star 439 hash. All right, please bear with me so that we'll be able to mega bonanza, mega bonanza, mega bonanza. So when you dial, you find option 8. It's down there. So please choose it quickly, 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 quickly. Okay, so it gives you the minimum ticket that you have to stake as 10. I choose 10. I'll do another 10 again. It's giving me the prompt, and then I've entered my PIN number, and I'm also approving it. So as many times as you can, please. We want to make sure that we give 5,000 Ghana cedis to our winners today. 5,000 Ghana cedis. Usually we'll be doing some 1,000 and some things. Please, let's make sure that we're able to do it as quickly as possible. Let's also be part of this because, you know, it's a Friday. We have to usher the weekend in a grand style and certainly end our discussions well. And we're hoping that by the close of everything we're talking about, when we do the first draw, certainly we will be part of a big bonanza. So we're just showing you what the dashboard is, how you can also, I can see 0, 2, 4, I think it looks like my number, but it looks like my number, 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, it looks like my number. Charlie, make you do the draw. I beg you, come to me. Come to me. Well, certainly. So let me just introduce our guest for the morning. How are you? Good to have you again. All right. So today I'll give you the honors of introducing yourself quickly.
My name is Michael Safokantan.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I represent the Movement for Change.
Movement for Change. Yeah. How's Alan?
Very well.
Great.
He's in good spirits.
Yeah.
He's touring the country, selling his message to the people of Ghana.
All right. Charlie, this thing you are saying, it's making MPP shake. So I have.
Yeah, they don't have a message.
They don't have a message.
Yeah, and it's funny when they go about trying to attack our campaign, you know, saying NDC is supporting us. I don't know where they get all that.
All right. Lawyer Fakwa is here, and then also Lawyer Kwame Janso. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. Lawyer Amaleba, the man in green. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right.
Yeah,
now, let's give you a certain recollection. We'll take you back to 2020. We had Professor Aaron Michael Quay in that ruling in relation to the Fomena Member of Parliament. And then we'll transition to Alban Gbagbein, current state. And then we're going to give you Afenyo Markins insights. We'll begin the discussion and wrap up. How do we create consensus with a stalemate in Parliament? Star 439 hash. Cash out.
Furthermore, after 7 December 2020, when Parliament is still in session till 7 January 2021, how does an MP both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election? This lacuna of a ridiculous situation is not what is anticipated under the 1992 Constitution. In the circumstances, Parliament has determined that the conduct of Honorable Andrew Amoako Esiama amounts to vacating his seat in Parliament. Accordingly, we bring this to the notice of the Electoral Commission for the necessary action to be taken in accordance with the law. Signed, the Speaker. Honorable members, we shall now suspend sitting.
Honorable members, it is important to point out that the Speaker is called upon by the standing orders of Parliament, particularly Order 18, to inform the House seat of a member under Clause 1B to E, G, and H of Article 97 of the Constitution. Accordingly, I proceed to inform the House that by the notification of the polls, the following members of Parliament have by their actions vacated their seats in Parliament. The members are Honorable Peter Yao Kwache Aka, NDC MP for Amenfi Central in the Western Region, now referred to as an independent parliamentary candidate for the same constituency. 2, Honorable Andrew Amoako Esiama, independent member for Fomena constituency in Ashanti region, now referred to as MPP parliamentary candidate for the constituency. 3, Honorable Kojo Asante, MPP MP for Suhum in the Eastern region, now referred to as independent candidate for the same constituency. And finally, Honorable Cynthia Mamile Morrison, MPP MP for Agona West constituency in the Central Region, now referred to as independent candidate for the same constituency. These MPs cannot be allowed by law and my good self to continue to pretend to be representing people that they don't believe in and they don't have any loyalty for in this House any longer. The House is accordingly so informed. Honorable members, I thank you for your patience and attention.
MPP is for peace. MPP is for peace. MPP is for peace of Ghana. We will not allow anybody to disturb the peace of the country. It is a notorious fact that we remain the majority caucus of this parliament. You, the
All right. So, Laya Fakwa, how do we find some consensus on the subject?
Well, let me say a very good morning to yourself and to my senior learned brothers on this platform, and to Safo, and also extend the greetings of His Excellency the Vice President, who is also the President in waiting of the Republic of Ghana. I believe on the 7th of December, the Ghanaian people will graciously honor him by voting him as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. Roland, on the issue of the brouhaha in Ghana's parliament, it all boils down to invasion of the territories of others. And in as much as we have the constitutional democracy, Article 1(2) of the Constitution prescribes that the Constitution of Ghana is the supreme law of the land. So in Ghana, we don't practice the Westminster system whereby they have parliamentary supremacy. But in Ghana, we have constitutional supremacy. And if you listen to the commentaries from Parliament, it comes to suggest that there is an attack on the supremacy of Parliament. And that has brought us where we are today. When you look at Article 132 of the Constitution, it clearly states that when a question of constitutional interpretation arises in any matter other than in any court other than the Supreme Court, the lower court must stay proceedings and refer the question of constitutional interpretation to the Supreme Court, because that is the exclusive original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Article 131. Parliament has its own mandate, and as far as the supremacy of the Constitution is concerned, even in the recent case of Justice Abulai versus Attorney General, the Supreme Court Kulendi JSC clearly stated and clearly reaffirmed in that matter the supremacy of the Constitution and not Parliament. So, when this matter was brought, whether it was a motion or whatsoever, was filed on the floor of Parliament for the determination by the Speaker whether to declare some seats vacant or not, some rival interpretations were ascribed to Article 97(1)(g) and (h). And the current position of the law in ex parte Zaneto is that once per Justice Atuguba JSC, as he then was, that once rival meanings are ascribed to a provision of the Constitution, you must stay and refer the question of constitutional interpretation to the Supreme Court. So invariably, we were expecting that insofar as the minority caucus in Parliament ascribed a particular interpretation to a provision under Article 97(1)(g) and (h) to mean that insofar as the 4 members of Parliament, they are 4, i.e. Mr. Honorable Kwatiaka of Amenfi Central, on the ticket of the NDC, now filing to contest the 2024 elections, intending to remain in future parliament, that's the 9th parliament, as an independent member of parliament for Amenfi Central. Honorable Esiama, independent member for Fomena, intending to remain in parliament on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party for the 9th parliament and not for the 8th parliament. Honorable Cynthia Mamle Morrison of Aguna West, intending to remain in the 9th parliament as an independent member, but not on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, and have not served notice that they have divorced their relationship with the caucus in which they belong to. Clearly amounted to constitutional interpretation, where light the forum should have been the Supreme Court. But Speaker Baben went ahead, arrogated to himself the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and Article 131 to interpret that to mean that insofar as they have declared their intention and notice of polls have been published, it clearly amounts to cross-carpeting, of which they can no longer remain in Parliament as members of the 8th Parliament. Again, Speaker Baben arrogated to himself the jurisdiction of the High Court and Article 91A to declare those seats vacant, and now came to his armchair as Speaker of Parliament under Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament 2023 to inform Parliament or to notify Parliament as to the vacancy of the 4 seats in Parliament. Clearly, he usurped the powers of some bodies, some constitutional bodies, of which the Constitution of the Republic has granted them those powers to perform those various tasks. Roland, anyone that says that the Right Honorable Aaron Michael Quay's ruling is clearly similar to what is happening today, and that Speaker Baben has done no wrong, clearly does not understand the jurisdiction of the High Court and Article 99(1)(a. It is clearly the exclusive domain of the High Court to determine parliamentary membership and to declare parliamentary seats vacant. And no other body has that power except the High Court of the Republic. You see?
So you're saying Professor Michael Quay erred? He
completely erred.
And the MPP and the caucus in the House at the time went along with him?
He erred.
Now, once
it affected the right of Honorable Esiama, he had a right in law to have invoked the jurisdiction of the High Court to challenge the decision of the Right Honorable Speaker, Aaron Michael Quay. But he gave out his right and decided to contest and win his seat back, which clearly the people of Fomena rewarded him back with that seat. And he's a member of this parliament.
Lawyer Fakwa, the position or the ruling of Michael Quay, was it not what the MPP had intended when they decided to invoke their own constitution?
You see, no matter what, on 13th October, Mr. John Boyd, then General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, wrote to Parliament, informing Parliament of that position, that Honorable Esiama has been dismissed as a member of the New Patriotic Party for declaring to go independent. That's a notorious fact. In that standing orders of parliament, the standing orders of parliament.
What was the intention? What was the intention of the framers of the party's constitution?
I'm coming. I'll get there.
Of saying automatically once you make that announcement and take the step, you are no more a member of the party, and as a result of that, you are free to go and stand as independent or otherwise.
I'll answer that question. Let me put our viewers to note it that in the year 2000 standing orders of parliament, which was repealed in 2023, under the same Order 18, gave the Speaker of Parliament powers to declare parliamentary seats vacant. So Speaker Okwe, and that provision was inconsistent with a provision of the Constitution, Article 99(1)(a), which grants the jurisdiction in terms of the declaration of those seats.
Don't take me to 2000. I asked a specific question.
I'm coming there. I'm coming to your question. I'm addressing your question, so give me the opportunity to address your question. It's a fantastic question. Honorable Esiama is an independent member of Parliament. Yes or no? Yes.
No, I'm saying, and the question relates to the New Patriotic Party. Yes. I'm saying that in your constitution is there in tandem. And if you listen to all the audios and the interviews that as the chief scribe of the MPP at the time, there were quotations of the same Article 97. And I'm saying that the rationale, the intention at the time, and still, was to get the Member of Parliament out of Parliament because he didn't represent the MPP. Is that not the case?
You see...
Don't you see me? I'm asking you a specific question.
I'm answering your question. You see, when the same constitution also tells you that if you go independent and you want to rejoin the party, you apply to the party and the party then accepts your nomination. And once you rejoin the party, you have 2 years to say before you can contest for any position within the party. So, since when the Honorable Esiama joined the party to be contested on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. So it tells you that clearly that is the domain of the New Patriotic Party. And our party and our regulations and our rules have ways to cater for these things. It's an internal affair. And insofar as it is not inconsistent with the parent constitution, the constitution of the 1992
Why then was the MPP quoting Article 97 then to back the argument based on the decisions that they had taken? Their own constitution had been invoked. When once they did that invocation, they also backed it with the national constitution in tandem. And I'm asking you, what was...
That was the understanding of the NPP then. But now, that was the understanding. And nobody contested the position of the New Patriotic Party. Did anybody contest the position of the New Patriotic Party?
Who is contesting your position now?
No, did anybody...
Is it not the same MPP?
No, I'm asking, did anybody contest the position of the New Patriotic Party then? Did Honorable Esiama, who was affected by that decision, contest?
Who is contesting the position now?
Now, we have all realized that
you and
Article
who?
99, I am one of them.
Isn't that marking?
No, I am one of them. So if you are not part of the people that has realized that, in terms of declaration of parliamentary seats vacant, it is only the High Court that has jurisdiction to declare parliamentary seats vacant.
Please end for me.
So certainly, once the High Court has not declared any seat vacant, the Speaker has no mandate to, as it were, to notify or to inform Parliament as to the vacancy of seats. Because one, no one has died that it is notorious for all of us to know that the person has passed on. And as a result of he or she passing on, the seat is vacant. No one has formally resigned like Honorable Wayosini, then belonging to the NDC caucus, resigned as a member of the NDC the NDC caucus to join the New Patriotic Party, where like the Speaker triggered Article 97(1)(g) and proceeded to inform.
So you are saying that the Speaker doesn't have the right?
He doesn't. He didn't have the right. And certainly, once you don't have that right and you arrogate to yourself that right,
you've been monitoring proceedings.
Impasse that we are all observing.
The last week we were here, we didn't have the impasse of anybody going to court for any order, and now the Supreme Court has come with witness. So the question then to deal with this morning was to look at how do we create consensus to reconvene Parliament, to look at the other urgent matters before them. But there are substantive issues that have to... What are your own observations in the first place, so far?
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers. My colleague, Efuakwa, mentioned that Ghanaians should vote for Mahmoud Bawumia. I want to tell him on this program that Ghanaians, having been taken through this harsh economic situation, are not fools to repeat their suffering. A vote for Bawumia is a vote for Ghanaians to repeat their suffering. Now, I have heard people say that it is only the Supreme Court that can interpret the Constitution. It's a lie. The Constitution regulates our lives, our daily lives. And indeed, each day that we go about our activities, we interpret the Constitution. So it's not only the Supreme Court. The only time that it is the preserve of the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution is when there are rival interpretations. So let people know. I've heard this bandied around. So let the matter end today. It is only when there's a rival interpretation. And that's why the Constitution is written in plain English. You notice that the language of the Constitution is not legalese. Have you noticed that? Because it's meant for all of us. And we are to interpret this Constitution as we go about our activities. So let's assume that even here, your board members are meeting. they call your board, the lawyer for your company to come and interpret a provision of the Constitution. Then the lawyer says that, board members, wait, let me carry the Constitution to the Supreme Court, and then they'll give it, and I'll come and give it to you. Doesn't make sense. So I'm telling people who are always saying that it is all the Supreme Court. Today, let it end. Now, you ask a question that what is the way forward? The word you used was consensus. And he's gone all over, he has not provided any consensus. What's the way forward? He has not answered that question. But let me follow him to where he has gone to. Let me follow him there. Article 97, G and H. And this provision has been read. It's notorious. Everybody knows it. I'm not going to read it.
Even Michael Quay also quoted it in that instance.
Exactly. Now, the MPP should tell me and viewers where this provision talks about the future. Which, look at the wording and tell me which of the words here talks about the future. Now, when they say that the Supreme Court has the exclusive jurisdiction to interpret the Constitution, it is not when people on their own decide to come out with a convoluted argument and say that that is an interpretative issue. Are you listening to me? Mm. These are plain words. So, when they say the Constitution should be interpreted by the Supreme Court, it doesn't mean that you, Roland, sitting in your house and then conjure an interpretative issue and say that the Supreme Court should now interpret it.
Okay.
And so, per this Constitution and Article 97 G and H, there is no interpretative issue at all.
There's no confusion.
There's no confusion. Give this to a junior high school child, and he will read and interpret it for you.
Okay, so this is why
there's no confusion.
It says that a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament in G if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to parliament to join another party, or seeks to remain in parliament as an independent member, or if he was elected a member of parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party.
Full stop. Now,
and the MPP constitution...
No, I'm not even going there yet. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of election to parliament, full stop there. These people that we are talking about,
they've left.
Has this caught them or not?
Yeah, they've left.
So sometimes when the MPP is talking, I don't know. But let me suppress my anger, isn't it? So that's the first one. 2, to join another party or seek to remain in parliament as an independent member. Has this caught them again or not? What is this? What is this about these MPP people? Sometimes I wish we could just carve out some place for them and say that's their country.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
They are, you see, the way they behave. You catch them here, they do this. You catch them there, they do this. What is this? This provision, which is in black and white, does it lend itself to any interpretation? Does it? Where is the future here? Which of the words here talks about future? Synonyms. Let's go to English. Synonyms. Which word here talks about future? Which word here talks about future? So, you see, let me exercise restraint and do my argument, because are they not seeking to remain in this parliament? Are they seeking to remain in the next parliament? Look, stop what you are doing. When you were talking, I was not happy, but I disciplined myself.
Okay, go ahead.
Discipline yourself. You may not like what I'm saying. Now, You come up with your own convoluted interpretation and say, let's go to the Supreme Court. Article 115 of the Constitution is very clear on how Parliament conducts its business and whether Parliament's business is open for any court action. It's clear. 115, read it. Because if I read it, then people will say that I'm putting words.
115, there shall be freedom of speech, debates, and proceedings in Parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or placed out of Parliament.
So it is this provision that the majority NDC is hanging on to and thinks that the Supreme Court has no business in this matter. It is this provision. Now, having dealt with those matters, let me deal with consensus.
Because right now there's a stalemate, but Parliament is needed back.
There is.
We have to reconvene Parliament.
There is. First and foremost, as an expert in conflict resolution, what you need to do first is whether the two parties are amenable to settlement. Because you can't bring parties to the negotiation table when they themselves are not in agreement, particularly when they have entrenched positions.
Do you see the positions as entrenched, and why?
They are entrenched, but both sides know. He has failed to answer those questions, so I'm now teaching him how to answer questions. Both sides know. Both sides know that the country must move forward, isn't it? Isn't it? Both sides know that the country must move forward. Now, if you are coming to the negotiating table, you don't come with an entrenched position. You must be ready to give and take. You must lose some, you must take some.
Where are the contentions?
The contentions are in two areas. One, who leads Parliament and thereby doing government business? And two, whose number in Parliament is the largest? So who is majority in Parliament? And then who is the one who will lead government business? What will government do if the majority goes to the NDC? That's the problem now. So anybody who is going into this matter must be ready to look at the positions of the parties, their interests, and their needs. Three areas.
You've brought a very important thing up. The Supreme Court gave an order. So once the Supreme Court has given an order, we haven't heard a response from the Speaker. So my assumption is once the Supreme Court is given or has given an order, it means that everything returns to basics.
No, that's another area. And let me use my knowledge of the law to educate people. Those who were saying that yesterday, it was yesterday, 2 days ago, they went to Parliament.
Yes. Because that's, I'm thinking.
Those who were saying that the NDC majority should have moved away and go to the left-hand side of Mr. Speaker because the Supreme Court ruling subsists, got it all wrong. They went to the Supreme Court on Friday. Friday to Tuesday is how many days? 3, 4 days?
4 days.
4 days. So when such orders are made, the status quo remains for the next 7 days.
Oh, so?
Yes, 7 days.
Including weekends.
The 7 days does not include weekends. When you are reckoning time.
So from Friday, then we'll come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, today.
7 days. 7 days.
The next 7 days will be Tuesday, the next Tuesday.
So 7 days period, the status quo remains. Then the judgment or the ruling will take effect.
So after Tuesday?
After 7 days. So were the majority in Parliament on that day against their conduct, was their conduct against the Supreme Court? The answer is no, because there's a period of duration where the status quo remains the same. So that is an indication for those who think that the majority in Tuesday's sitting shouldn't have sat at where they are. They also got it wrong.
Right. Adams, Andy Adams says you are boiling. So drink water. What do you make of all this? Because at the end of the day, let's come to the substantive. We on the civil side are looking at consensus. Because Parliament needs to go, we have some business to deal with.
Yeah. Thank you, Roland. Good morning to the ordinary Ghanaians. And then I will stand in for them today. Good morning to Dafa Franto. And I was so excited to see New Day Yellow with a monarch butterfly. Hallelujah.
This has always been there before your party.
Well, of course, but then
So
it excites me that,
when
you know, the spirit of...
When this
Roland, why are you doing this? I'm making
this
a very good
was
point.
created before
the movement
was incorporated.
Essentially, so the fact of the matter is that the spirit of the movement, which wants to bring about a new day, as symbolized by the monarch butterfly, it's in this studio now. It's in the making of this program. Roland, why do we have a situation where lawyers are taking this development and this country hostage? As a development worker, I'm at a loss that within a month to a major election that is going to determine the fate, that is going to be determining whether we are going to endorse the status quo that has led to our impoverishment in the last 32 years, or we are going to choose a man like Alan Trematin, who has presented a solid blueprint to lead us out of the mess we find ourselves. We are not probing these issues a month into election, and here we are with the usual, you know, mischief of lawyers. We are saddled with a situation where people know what the Constitution says. It has worked for them from the videos you played in the Michael K case, and yet they are insisting no. Even though it worked for us, we are trying to change it because this time around it renders us disadvantaged. That's a problem. That level of mischief cannot be tolerated, especially at a time where we are at a crossroads. We are supposed to wean our country off the tentacles of this constant revisiting of IMF regulations and all that. And it calls for probing into the options we have, probing into the kind of plans, the policies they are proposing to choose which one works for us. It is time for us to assess the competence, the vision, the integrity of these guys who present themselves as leaders for us. And here we are, you know, caught in this paralysis of legal tussles. It doesn't help us as a people seeking to develop out of the current economic hardship we find ourselves.
How do we find the consensus?
And I'm really concerned. The consensus is really simple. Like I said, we are here because there's this toxic adversarial system where MPP wins and it's only MPP. NDC wins and it's only MPP controlling the affairs of the state. And so there's this strive for, you know, dominance. There's a strive for majority position in parliament so they can control all the affairs and business of the day. And that's why we are here. That's why we are having people trying to, you know, redefine the constitution, even when there's a straightforward definition and interpretation. The fact of the matter is, until we do away with this NPP-NDC duopoly that has created this toxic divide, we are not going anywhere as a country. And that is what is enshrined in Alan's policies and his message to Ghanaians, that we need to come together, create a united people behind a single vision, a single development plan to move this country forward. It has happened in China. For long, they were a communist state, you know, strictly communist. But now, what is happening? They've been able to move their country into a communist socialist state, and it's the second largest economy in the world because there were compromises. People were able to see that this is the right path, and then they rallied behind it.
How do we find the compromise?
The compromise starts with leadership. we need to set aside this MPP-NDC duopoly. Bring Alan Chematin, who has come out of the duopoly and has said, look, Ghanaians, we've been doing things the wrong way for the past 32 years.
I don't understand. You mean Alan agreed to what you are criticizing, but all of a sudden became a believer? When did he become a believer?
It's not all of a sudden. You know, all he's been doing with his life outside of Ghana, within politics and all that, suggests to the fact that the man is on a transformational agenda. In fact, his thesis as at 1973-74 was on Ghana's transformation. And I believe he is the next Kwame Nkrumah we are yet to have, actually. Look at what he's done in government. He does things that go beyond parties. He does things, even as minister, his policies like bringing home the giant automobile industries, his policies like working to bring home the Intercontinental Free Trade Area. These are all-encompassing policies and programs that seek to move our country beyond partisan considerations. It is very essential we set aside this MPP-NDC regime, bring Alan Chematin and his vision to unite us. That's the only way we can build consensus. If we continue to choose a regime, a leadership regime, where people's affiliation to a party becomes their competence criteria, then we have a problem. It should be by merit. It should be, if you are choosing Lawyer Fuakwa to head a position in government, it should be because Lawyer Fuakwa is tried and tested. He has the proven track record to deliver. It's not because he is MPP or NDC, and so we should give him, you know, the all-important position to take decisions that affect all of us Ghanaians. Then we have a problem, and that's why we are here. Let's build consensus by bringing an independent candidate, Alan Chematin, to work with all these, you know, feuding parties, unite us behind a national development plan. I was happy Lawyer Amaliba said, look, we all agree that we have to move our country forward. If that becomes the fulcrum around which we all revolve, it's so simple to choose a leader who has actually made that his _1 vision to unite the country around the national development plan. Otherwise, we are not going nowhere, honestly. Thank you.
Lajantwa, we're at a stalemate. Now, we're being told that we have to come back to Parliament. What do you think has been wrong with the posture that has been taken by the individuals that you witnessed, whether in the chamber, whether, I don't have to mention that, you know them already, the individuals who were either talking back at the speaker, making pronouncement posts, and the entrenched positions they took, that has led us here? And how do we find consensus from that point?
Individuals. Good morning to our viewers. Good morning.
Individuals. They are key individuals.
Key individuals.
I just
mention. Let's be specific. You can't just generalize.
Yeah.
And let me tell my brother from, what do you call it? Movement for Change. Once we see your action, that is when you compare someone to Nkrumah. Apart from that, you cannot compare.
All right.
So we shouldn't even go down that line. Look, let me take it from the point, the point where AB made in terms of interpretation. The High Court can interpret the Constitution, Court of Appeal can, Parliament can, and also Council of States can interpret the Constitution. Now, I think when you take 97, Article 97, Article 99, Article 110, Article 130, there are lacunas in there that need to be looked at. That's why some of us continuously say we should go back and look at the 998 pages of the Constitutional Review and see how best we can align this Constitution. Number 3, let me ask you a question. The question is that the Speaker did not have the power to do what? To declare vacancies.
That is the argument.
The argument being made.
Because Okwe had.
When you played Michael Okwe, there was a word in there that he used that Babin also used. And what's that word? Michael Quay said, by his conduct. You heard it. Babin also said, by his action. What's the difference?
Same. Just a synonym.
What's the difference? Yes, by their actions. Well, it's the same thing.
It's different.
What's different? By their conduct, by their actions.
It's different.
Huh? His conduct is that he did what? He stood as a what do you call it? Independent.
Made a decision.
By their actions show that they have crossed carpet. So what's the difference? Number two, and maybe around the table, you'll be able to
deduce.
Advise me. Advise me.
Don't qualify.
When Adwoa Safo absconded from her seat for how many days?
Absconded?
Well, how should I put it? Okay.
Absent.
Didn't attend parliament, was absent for more than 15 days. Who was supposed to declare her seat vacant? Isn't it the speaker? What's the difference? What is the difference? Tell me. Somebody should tell me. What is the difference? So you're saying...
So you're asking the question whether at the time the speaker had the powers
exactly,
or not.
From the arguments they are making, the speaker doesn't have the power to declare vacant. Adwoa Safo's case, did he have to go back to 99? Did he have to go back to the Supreme Court for interpretation?
Or even 97?
Or 97?
There is an issue of conduct.
97? And in 97, it says, shall mandatory. And that is what the speaker was using on the Adwoa Safo's case. Tell me, what's the difference between the two? When I've already stated the institutions that can also interpret. But yes, the Supreme Court can give final interpretation of the Constitution. So, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Look, we have to be very, very careful.
We have to be careful?
Yes, we have to be very careful. And parliamentarians have to be very, very careful and not take Ghanaians for granted. They should look at the 2020 elections of parliament, see what happened. Ghanaians are watching. They are watching the different parliamentarians who are saying A, B, C, D, E. Come election day, if Ghanaians decide that, hey, we are going to give one party absolute majority and then vote for another party for president, that is where you will see the difficulties that we have. Now, I come to consensus. Let me tell you something, Roland. The only consensus that should sway everybody, including the speaker, including parliamentarians and including Ghanaians, is the threat of elections. What do I mean?
Explain it.
What do I mean? The Electoral Commission, have they brought in their CI that would govern the elections? It has a 21-day to cure before it becomes law. Has it happened? Isn't time ticking? And isn't it a threat to our elections going forward as the time draws near? We have 44 days to elections. So really, I would plead, because of elections alone, I would plead with the speaker, please, whatever the case is, let's put this case aside. In fact, if the Supreme Court may, and I'm not in the Supreme Court, they can stay their verdict. Get Parliament back because of the elections. And look at particular bills that need to be passed. And do you notice something? In the bills that the MPP are now using to recall Parliament, do you realize LI 2642 is not part of it?
The mining
is not part of it.
Mining in forest
is not part of it. What did the president say to organize labor? What did the president say to organize labor? It's not part of it.
Already with Parliament.
It's already what?
It's already with Parliament.
Is it part of the bills that they were going to withdraw?
The Speaker should call Parliament for Parliament.
Well, I'm saying, wait,
Based on the
please,
memo that
please,
you've cited.
Please. I'm saying the list of bills that they are trying to force Parliament to come back. Is it part of it? It's not. It's not. So for me, the only consensus I can see, for me, is on the elections. We cannot afford to let this particular issue that has personal interest in there.
Why do you keep saying personal interest? You keep using the phrase personal interest.
Isn't it the country that we are ruling? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't the country come first? Shouldn't parliamentarians say, okay, we do not agree with what has happened. However, we have elections coming up. If we are not careful, that our actions might stay these elections. For whatever the case is, whatever the challenge is, let's go back. Who sits left, who sits right? Look. Ru, let me ask you a question.
So that's it. The urgent matters. The lies
yes.
part, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If it so happened that they were able to get these parliamentarians out, could they run a by-election? The law states that by-elections should be held 6 months before an election. How many days? Could they have? So the NDC... I
don't understand, but law is law.
I'm saying that they won't be able to run the by-election.
Yes.
Don't be able to run.
They are even not entitled to run it.
So,
because that's what the law says that it has to be 3 months.
Yes, 3 months. Mine is that
Should be 6 months, 3 months.
NDC, you've made your point. You've made your point. You've argued your point.
You think it's the fault of the NDC
right?
now?
No. I'm not saying it's the fault.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that it was Haruna who brought this situation up, isn't it? It came from the opposition. It didn't come from the majority, the party in power. It came from them.
Majority.
You've made your point. You've made your point. Everybody understands your point.
Ideally, who was the NDC right? The individuals like Haruna and then the leader.
According to the law.
Okay. Were they right?
According to the law.
They were right.
97.
All right.
According to the law. Let me finish. I think it is important for all of us to bring the country first. All this up and down is not helping anybody. And the people who are coming back to vote for you are caught in the middle. Parliamentarians, executive, judiciary, think of Ghana first before you take whatever action you want to take.
No, wait. There's just keep your submissions on. You added. If the MPP had a majority of, let's say, 145, do you think that this would have been a problem? I mean, the MPP would have opposed their own advocacy or position.
It is not to say the MPP is...
No, it's just a question, yes or no. You can say that...
It is not that the MPP is canvassing its own position on the subject matter.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the I'm asking you a specific question. Sure. Hypothetically, if the MPP had, let's say, 145 seats in Parliament, and so had a very extensive majority, so to speak, and the NDC members, as we have it, or the NDC side, bring this up. In your own sincerest opinion, do you think this would have been a problem? We would have seen all this?
Oh, certainly, yes. Once it's a constitutional democracy and our jurisprudence is still developing, certainly any member, any citizen of Ghana would have gone to the Supreme Court to have contested the decision under Article 97. Certainly. Even myself, I would have taken the step.
So 2020, what happened? That even the MPP itself didn't go to court to contest its own general secretary's position.
The fact that nobody contested the decision of the Speaker or the decision of Parliament, the 7th Parliament, in 2020 in any court, does not a stop any citizen from going ahead to
contest. How do we find consensus?
You see, I'm coming. There has been some erroneous impression created on this platform. And my learned senior, with respect to him, made some assumptions that he's teaching me. Let me state clearly that he stated that it is not only the Supreme Court that interprets the Constitution and other citizens interpret the Constitution, and that lies. It is a false proposition and nobody should say this. Go under Article 131. That's the exclusive original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in terms of the enforcement and interpretation of the Constitution. So let us know this on this platform. Please, let's have civility, please. Let's have civility. In terms of Article 131, that is my authority.
He never contested Article 130.
He said, and he stated again,
he's saying that,
the Constitution,
as we work with the Constitution every day as Ghanaians,
no, you see,
we interpret the Constitution, and he's talking about the literal translation.
But we are talking about rival interpretation being ascribed to a provision of the Constitution.
Please go ahead.
So certainly nobody can say that everything we interpret is not the Supreme Court that interprets the Constitution anyway. Again. He stated that the Constitution is written in English and it is in ordinary words and it is clear. I think he has sort of averted his mind on what the Supreme Court stated through Dateba in Nigeria versus Attorney General. Where, let me read a provision to you so that it settles that matter, so that we don't repeat that on this platform again. Because this is a big platform, a national platform, where people are taking information from us. You see, in Nigeria versus Attorney General, Justice Dateba stated that the fact that a country had a written constitution did not mean that only its letter might be interpreted. The court had a responsibility for distilling the spirit of the Constitution from its underlying philosophy, core values, basic structure, the history and nature of the country's legal and political systems, etc., in order to determine what implicit provision in the written Constitution would flow inextricably from that spirit. So as far as the Constitution is clear, nobody can say that it is clear, it is written in English.
Understand. Is your assumption that he doesn't know this?
I'm coming. No, it is my position that he doesn't know this because he wouldn't have stated this on this platform.
Are you serious?
I'm coming. Again, in ex parte Zaneto, the Supreme Court departed from its cardinal principle in the Republic versus Mekankai, that when the provision of the Constitution is clear, the lower courts must enforce it. In that position, when the Supreme Court determined the qualification of Madame Zaneto Ajimai Rawlings and Article 94(1)(e), this is what Justice Atuguba stated that the mere fact that the trial high court judge stated that Article 94(1)(a) is clear amounts to interpretation of the Constitution, and that the court should have stayed proceedings and referred the question of constitutional interpretation to the Supreme Court.
How do we create consensus? You have 2 minutes.
I'm coming. You see, when he said they relied on Article 115 and what. Article 115 is just for immunity of proceedings in Parliament, that whatever you say cannot be used against you in the court of law in terms of defamation and those kind of things. That is the privilege or the immunity of parliamentarians on the floor of Parliament. But we are relying on Article 21 and 131, that once rival meanings were ascribed to it, automatically 132 comes in line, because it is only the Supreme Court that can bring finality as to what Article 97(1)(d) and 8 means, and not any other body. Whatever Mr. Amaleba is saying is his own interpretation. Whatever I am saying is my own interpretation. It is only the Supreme Court that can bring finality as to the true meaning of Article 97(1)(d) and 8. Roland, in the interest of the Ghanaian people, I believe that
so it makes whoever is wrong, 99. It makes no.
How do we create a consensus? You have 2 minutes.
99 is the jurisdiction of the High Court.
You have 2 minutes.
99 is that.
You have 2 minutes.
That is the crux of the matter.
No, please, okay.
Yeah, so that is what.
How do we create consensus on Lawyer Fuakwa?
In declaring seats vacant, because 99
after Dateba and all the ones you have mentioned, why do we create consensus, please?
So, in the interest of the Ghanaian people, Roland, I would have wished that when the speaker stated that he was going to sit back and decide and inform Parliament as to his ruling or whatever, he was going to go in accordance with the Constitution by referring the question of constitutional interpretation to the Supreme Court. We wouldn't have gotten ourselves in this position. Now, the court has stayed the speaker's ruling, and it is incumbent on all of us to respect the jurisdictions of other constitutional bodies like the Supreme Court for us to proceed. Now, Article 112.3 has been triggered for the Speaker to summon Parliament for consideration of some emergency government businesses that are on the table. I believe that the minority must come together in the interest of the Ghanaian people. Like Ofa rightly mentioned, that the CI to regulate the conduct of the 2024 elections has not even been laid in Parliament. And whatever that is, whatever jostling that is ongoing on the floor of Parliament is as a result of the interest in the 2024 elections. People want to use that to communicate clearly to the Ghanaian people what their positions are and what their interests are. And if there is no CI to govern and regulate the conduct of the 2024 elections, where do we go from there? So in the interest of the Ghanaian people, there are urgent matters. We are all appealing that LI 2462 should be repealed. And clearly government has acceded to our courts and has directed. And now the AG and the sector ministers have issued memorandum to Parliament to consider in repealing LI 2462. What is Parliament doing about it? Is that in the interest of Parliament to ensure that LI 2462, that grant permit for mining companies to mine our forest reserves, be repealed? Is Parliament considering other important government business like the 2025 budget statements and those things into consideration? And because of all this, I believe that they must come together. Cool heads must prevail on the floor of Parliament. The Peace Council must come in. The eminent citizens must come in and make sure that at least whoever is wrong is told in the face that you are wrong. Whoever is right is pronounced to be right, so that we move ahead as a collective people and push our nation forward. That is the only thing. If you don't tell the one erring that you are erring, clearly we will continue to see what we are seeing today.
Solomon Owusu, he's a member of your this thing, right? That's right. He was saying that if you look at the individuals who are the players in this story, especially from the ruling party side, etc., they were there in 2020, and you take out the position there, you look at the position now, it looks unprincipled. How do we all come on board to make sure that they also get to see that, look, we need to convene Parliament and the Speaker has a right in the House?
I think it's a very straightforward situation, unless, of course, you want to dabble in what I would call the contradiction of sinners, the mischief and all that. I think once there's precedence, there's the constitutional, the right constitutional interpretation to this whole matter. The majority, I should say, the MPP side of Parliament should, they have the bigger responsibility to make the compromise in terms of, you know, accepting what has worked for them previously and upholding the current rule and stop all these legal gymnastics going on, the theatrics. Let's begin to, you know, like everybody agrees on this table, place Ghana, you know, ahead of all other considerations. We are going into a major election, like I said, and here we are, you know, caught up in all these arguments and counter-arguments that essentially robs us of the laxity and the good opportunity to begin to probe what policies, what proposals are before us going into the election. If I'm voting for Alan, why am I voting for him? If I'm going to vote for the usual John Mahama or Dr. Baumia, why am I voting for him? You see, they are not doing us any good as a people. Now we are caught up in these debates, and then there are the sound bites going on. So people
are... So
that's
the question. So yeah. How do we all congregate?
It's a two-way thing. Like I said, the first responsibility is on the NPP, you know, and unfortunately it doesn't work for them, so it's difficult for them to come to that compromise. Okay. But we, especially, and this call goes to the media as well, you have to, as it were, set aside some of these conversations. Let's prioritize, you know, the development of this country and the elements that will foster that development we seek. Okay. And discuss them, shine light on them, and that's how we can get people to act in a way that benefits the country. Because, yeah.
Okay. Lajantwa, your conclusion on this matter?
This destruction,
your appeal to everybody.
This destruction would not help any part, whether NDC, MPP. The ironical thing is that we're going into election to change a government, aren't we? Yeah. Whatever the case is, a new government is going to come in place. if this destruction is not looked at, if this destruction is not sorted, the election might not come on. So what would be the result for parties who are now vying to lead this country in 2024? I want cool heads to roll. If for nothing at all, this is very important. Council of State, the President, the Judiciary, and Parliament, and some chiefs should sit around the table and sort this thing out once and for all. Because it looks as if the leadership in this country it doesn't have a leader that can enforce and leaderless and put his foot down to make sure that we have a consensus, because we are going into an election. An election that all of us are fighting for to change the government is being threatened. So I just appeal, and once again, look, Afenyo Marking, when he decided to go to the Supreme Court, did he first of all go and sit with the Speaker to find out his decision? Did he do that? I don't think that happened. He went straight to the Supreme Court. If you listen to Chairman Sabunsu and the interview he had on Joy FM, he indicated that the first thing he would have done was to go back to the Speaker and sit with him.
Why are you saying that? Chairman Sabunsu was better
No,
than...
no, I'm not. No,
so what are
don't
you saying?
put words in my mouth.
It's a question.
That is not what I'm saying. Your question is putting words in my mouth.
But why are you afraid?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm just trying to say that Afenyo Marking should have first of all approached the Speaker and said, Mr. Speaker, this decision you've made in Parliament, I don't think we agree with it. Let's find a way of what? Sitting and discussing it and coming to some better conclusions. If it so happened that the Speaker at that point declared that I'm not ready to sit with you and talk anything with you, I've made my decision, then he could have then reverted to the Supreme Court. At this point, this delay is not helping anybody.
All right.
It's not helping the country, it's not helping parliamentarians, it's not helping anybody. Let's find ways of coming to consensus, especially when the CI from the Electoral Commission hasn't been laid for the elections.
Well, we have cash out. It goes with the short code *439#. And make sure that you choose option 8, because we have, this is a mega jackpot we're undertaking today. So please make sure that you, as quickly as possible, get on to the short code *439#, and then increase the number of stakes you have. You have the minimum being 10, and increase as many times as you can, because we have 5,000 Ghana cedis to give away, and you want to enter the weekend solidly behind your own Momo wallet. Because if there's money in it, when you're smiling, you smile to the bank. 5,000 Ghana cedis. We want to give it out as quickly as possible. Richmond Roxon is a legal practitioner lawyer. He says, such ingenuity and inconsistency. The language of Article 97G and H are very clear and unambiguous. It deals with the current parliament and not the future. Under Article 97G, the critical element when considering that clause is whether an MP leaving the party of which he was a member at the time of his election. The question is, have these MPs left their parties of which they were selected as MPs or not? The answer is yes. In the case of Honorable Isiama, Article 97H is unambiguous. The critical element here is whether or not an MP who was elected as an independent candidate can join a political party. The answer, again, is no. Immediately an MP elected as an independent candidate joins a political party, he or she automatically, by all the interpretation, vacates the seat. These MPs have vacated their seats as a result of moving from one party to being independent and independent to joining a party. Even at the worst thing, the MPP in 2020 acted the way they acted because their own constitutions automatically bars the individual who took the position as a member of the party to go independent against the party's own candidate. And that was even buttressed with the president even going to Fomena and campaigning against his member of parliament at the time, who was now going independent in 2020, and so was no more a member of the party. That expels him from the party And as a result of that, he no more holds allegiance to the party and representing them in Parliament. All right. I think that it puts matters in perspective. But and then let's also have this one from Kalioman. Says, by the logic of Lawyer Fuakwa, Honorable Isiama gave Isiama gave out his right for not challenging his dismissal in court. Why is the individual affected not challenging their dismissal in court, but rather the majority leader? Why is the MPP worried so much more than those affected directly? You can't vacate your seat in the next parliament when it is in the future and the parliament even hasn't come into existence. Vacation of your seat means that you are currently occupying that seat and it is occurring today. Now, I have this one from Eric Ashalibotri. The biggest problem we have in Ghana is how the MPP is going back on its own words. Lack of principles. You say today it is A, tomorrow it is B. BT Sly says, kindly find out from Lawyer Maliba, what is the Supreme Court seeking to stay when the act has already been executed? That is, the seats are already declared vacant by the Speaker. When he sat in his chair and made that declaration, it was alive. Should the order not have been issued before the declaration was made? Sampi Yale says, it is so shameful that a country like Ghana is being held hostage as a result of a debate about who is in the majority and the minority. The structure of parliament is anomalous because of the numbers. All right. The Speaker should simply call the MPP the government caucus and the opposition caucus. And then we'll go forward.
Stop this. Majority, minority.
Yes. Anyway. Thank you, gentlemen.
No, but you gave over Tutu, you decided to cut me off. What's that?
No.
You gave over Tutu.
Yeah, you two have given me Tutu.
No, if not.
Oh, really?
If not.
Oh, okay.
But at least let me say something.
Okay.
You know,
hey, I didn't know, I forgot.
You see, Afuakwa, having had his image battered in this program,
let's not go.
Is seeking to redeem his image.
Then don't comment.
You see, the cases he cited.
No, please. You specifically directed him, and you had the chance. So let him. Please.
So you give me chance to.
Yes. No, you directed. You directed me. You directed to me.
Oh, but you said that you were teaching him.
Why?
He mentioned that he's teaching me.
No, I didn't say that. See,
please.
So
we can put the mics off. You have the floor.
Okay. So
let's not attack each other.
I'm not going to. I'm just saying that the cases he has cited are irrelevant in this matter. They don't speak to the issues that we have spoken about. Because the fact that the Constitution can be interpreted by anybody unless the third time, unless there's a rival interpretation, is clear.
Don't go there.
So don't say that it is wrong. It is wrong to side to say that you are a law student.
Don't go there. I'm not a law student. I'm a lawyer like you.
Okay, so
he's just a junior.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer like you. Because he's focusing on ADR.
You see, in his haste to respond to me,
all right,
he got it wrong. I was talking to him.
You got it wrong.
You got it wrong. What are you doing?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm saying that.
It's okay.
I'm saying that you are a law student.
So let's
day in, day out. Don't your lecturers interpret the Constitution when you are teaching constitutional law? Don't they teach you? And don't they interpret the Constitution? So what kind of convoluted argument are that? Now he wants to go out and people will say that, oh, Amalba bloody your nose. They say, oh, one will say, my static case is Amano. My static case is Amano.
So you are feeling uncomfortable with the case I said. Look,
the way forward in this matter is for the MPP to know that they are not the majority. And it is true they are not the majority.
We are the majority because the court has stayed.
Can you rein in this guy?
The court has not ruled on the substantive.
No. They are never. Look, under this Eighth Republic.
Keep it as it is.
Oh, under this Eighth Republic, they are not the majority. Can this guy? Does he? Where does he? Why did he?
It's coming to a point. It's coming to.
Under this Eighth Republic, they are not the majority. The Eighth Parliament, they are not the majority.
We are the majority.
Hey,
we are the majority.
You have 137.
Because the
we have 137. And so what we have is majority caucus. You don't have a majority party. What you have is a majority caucus.
Majority grouping.
And so, when they go to parliament, they should understand that their position is weak and they are not a majority. The next point is that it is government business they want to conduct. Can they be given the opportunity to have somebody who is called leader of government business to be pushing government business? But as for the majority, and then they must also remove the matter from court. They must also remove the matter from court, because we in the NDC don't trust the Supreme Court, and the NDC would always ensure that.
All right. Abdulaziz, former member of parliament for Myon, says, Roland, please, a point of correction. The EC, with many publications, and you sent me, says they do not intend to introduce a new CI before the 2024 elections. Yeah, all right. But we also have a budget to read, right? We need to read the budget too. Yes, so certainly, I think, and... well, thank you all for joining us. We've had a number of you also on our stream. Let me just read a couple of the messages, and quite a very interesting messages coming from. Please make sure you cash out as many times as possible. Intelligence is very expensive. Please. That's coming from Yamo. Lectures are interpreting laws. What about the Apex Court? That's Yao February. And then also we have Kelvinia Sean. But please make sure you cash out. Step into the world of Dewa 539 Chop Money for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. And then also with Dewa Direct, you dial *446#. You pick the range of the numbers 1 to 39. You also get to win big 20 times your stake, 40 times and 400 times your stake. And you get to win cash every evening at 7 p.m. And then also on Sundays, it's at 6 p.m. That's where you do the draws. Now, early birds also love Dewa Chop Money at 10 a.m. It's the same procedure. You can also play online, and that is dewa-nla.com. Please, we're taking a break. We'll be back with more.